I'm glad that you led into this next conversation. You said a black man should be bringing a black woman into his home. Let's see if that's true or not. Because should black men expect black women to own their own home? Right. So, like I said, I'm glad that you led into this conversation, brother, because we're gonna see who own the homes in the black community. Here we go. Should black men expect black women to own a home? According to the National Association of Realtors, 2024 home sales statistics by gender are as follows. Married couples own 59% of the homes. Single females own 19% of the homes. Single males, 10% of the homes. And unmarried couples, 9% of the homes. The share of single females has increased slightly, and single females and single males are more likely to buy townhouses, row houses, cottages, or cabins than other household types. Gen Z has the highest percentage of single female buyers at 31%, and younger millennials have the highest percentage of unmarried couples at 19%. Also, the race and ethnicity of home buyers. White/Caucasian own 81% of the houses of all buyers. Hispanic/Latino, 7% of the homes. Black/African American, 7% of the homes. Asian/Pacific Islander, 6% of the homes, and other, 6% of the homes. And to continue, household composition by race and ethnicity. Married couple Black/African Americans own 45% of the homes within their community. Single females own 29% of the homes. Single black males, 11% of the homes. Unmarried couples, 8% of the homes, and 7% of the black homes are owned by other. Right. So was any of that information shocking to you guys? GMT, what you think?
Well, no, for me, it's not shocking because I've been watching you for a while, right? So it's definitely not a shocking matter. But I think this is a great topic. And the reason why I would say that is because I always advise men never, ever move in with a woman. Have your own, build your own, and then move her in with you. Or if you don't have your own, build with her and then put it together, if anything, and make it happen. But never moving with a woman, that's just where I stand, my opinion, if she has her own home. So no, I don't think men should expect women to own their own homes. I believe men should build for themselves or with a woman.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, would be rare because most people, they own their first home, they purchase their first home about age 35, right? And as you guys seen in the stats, 29% of single black women out of the 7% of black people overall own, homes, right? And then only 11% of black men. So that's not the majority, right? So Mona D, what's your thoughts on that?
So my thought is that no, I personally don't believe women should be owning homes personally to live in, just from a safety perspective, a cost perspective, and to what GMT's point is, you want to, build with your husband and come in together like that. I just don't believe women should be putting that amount of pressure from a handyman perspective, from you're more susceptible to be victimized in that way, to be as a homeowner, single woman, depending on what community that you're living in. You just make yourself a little more prey, in my opinion. I would rather, have a home together with my husband versus, any other thing. I think you should have your own place as a woman, definitely a place that's adequate, affordable, safe for you, but you don't need to have a home as a single woman, in my opinion.
So what's your thoughts on the women that don't want marriage? What should they do?
I think that they should be smart if they're going to own a home. Look at, and I think we talked about that earlier in the week, be mindful about the communities that you're living in. Look at the long term, not just look at, hey, I like this home. It's comfortable for me today. If everything falls out the bottom, Are you going to, as a single woman, have that income, right? We talked about your finances, your management of your money. Have you put yourself in a position to be prepared to cover that mortgage, that insurance, all the other expenses for repairs? Can you handle all of that on your own? And it's not a significant impact on your financial in a negative way. So that's just my perspective about that.
Right. Thank you. Ash, what's your thoughts on that?
So it goes back to the age range that we're talking about again. Once again, we're talking about 35 to 44-year-old women. I think they should definitely own a home, whether they want to be married or not. You can move in with your husband when that stage comes. What if that doesn't come until you're like 50 years old? And especially in this economy, rent is so high now. Like it's crazy. Like the cost of living, even if you're in like a standard basic apartment, at least in Virginia, through the roof, you're gonna pay way more in rent than you are gonna pay in a mortgage, right? Well, based on your credit or whatever. But like you gotta have decent credit to get a home anyway. So I think like financially it's a pretty smart decision for a woman to own a home. Because if not, then I'm not saying like what have you been doing during that time, but it's just like 35 to 44, you need to start like laying some roots, being established somewhere. Like
Right.
And like, unless you plan to make some big Jurassic move cross country in the near future, at that age, I feel like I'm not saying like it's time to like settle a little bit, like at least location wise, and invest in something. I think owning property is a great investment, and it doesn't mean that when your husband comes along, you can't go move in with them. Like definitely, and then sell your property right now, whatever you want to do with your property, but like you still have something, right? You don't invest it in something, you made a big investment. So yeah, I think women should own their own home.
Do you think that process of selling a home, like say you do meet your husband, not you necessarily, but a black woman owning a home, is that a tough thing to do, you think, in regards to selling your home and then moving with your husband, and then you got to work out who's going to be on, on the paperwork, so on and so forth? Would that be a hurdle, or is that something that's easily to work through?
I think it depends on the state of the economy, honestly, because like, during the pandemic, everyone was buying left and right, so selling the house easy. But it just depends on the time and the state of the economy at the time. And then I don't know. I never sold a house before, so I don't know. I just know it depends on whether it's a buyer's or seller's market. So it's hard to answer that question.
Yeah. It
But
definitely.
like, as far as keeping it and like who name going to be on it, like what you have before the marriage is still yours, and then like whatever y'all build together afterwards, then
You think so?
Yeah, I ain't never been married either, but in my mind, I'm like, what I had before, what I got before you on my own, like that was me.
Right. You like it's still mine. Okay.
Like if things go south, like don't take away what I already had. Be nice.
You sound like men. That's how men sound in the court. Just please don't take what I already had.
Don't take what I got.
You had nothing to do with this. Leave me alone. Like leave that out.
MRT, what's up?
I definitely agree with Ashley, but I also agree with what Miss Mona said. As far as like safety and security and stuff like that, you could be more prone to just attacks and stuff like that. But I guess you could say this part is where like my modern womanness comes in, is that I personally don't feel like you should wait to get a man to do something like that. I feel like that's just if your finances are right and you are prepared to take on the additional like maintenance that a house is going to require, then go for it. I think, as you move along in your career, certain things in life, whether you're married or not, certain things just kind of set in, like Ash was saying, is like you plant your roots and you kind of go from there, unless you have some type of career that you're traveling constantly or I don't know, whatever. But but yes, I feel like as long as you are financially ready for that, then yes, definitely go for it.
Right. Okay. Cool. Jess, what's your thoughts? Home ownership by 35 to 44.
So I actually don't mind a woman having a home if that's her prerogative. If she's unmarried, that's fine. And if she's married, I feel like more so rent it out or do something productive, because property can be a great investment. So if we actually use the property as an investment piece, and then, but I don't believe that we should move into, like, he should move into her house or anything like that. I don't condone that at all. I feel like y'all should start afresh, anew, and start that path, going forward.
So
But
what you think about
definitely,
this?
if she has something.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I was just saying, definitely if she has something already, then definitely she can use it as an investment piece.
So what you think about this concept? And I heard this, I heard T.I., the rapper, say this. He was saying that people spend a lot of money on the wedding, but they could just simply invest in a new house and have the wedding in the backyard of the new home. What's your thoughts on that?
So I'm fairly frugal, so I can't gauge how I go by things with other women sometimes with certain things, but I actually look for the better deals on everything. So I'm cutting costs as much as possible. That's, like, in the long run, that's a wiser choice. So
I agree. What's your thoughts, Professor?
Yeah. Again, sort of what Jess was saying, if do as you wish, but for how I personally see it is I personally believe in rent where you live and own what you can rent. Because owning a home, that comes with a lot of stipulations. There's no mobility or flexibility. So if you're in a town or a city where you can't make the amount of money you want to make and a job offer comes, what do? That's a whole pain. And like you said, right now the economy is what it is. So if the economy's down and you can't sell your house, what do you do then? And then on top of that, rent is actually cheaper than mortgages right now, with inflation being what it is. A mortgage on a home is going to cost you a little bit more. In addition to that, there's maintenance. If something breaks in your apartment, someone fixes it. If something breaks in your home, you got to have the discretionary funds to take care of that. Also, while you're renting, if you rent 2-3 bedrooms and you do some group economics where you can have people come in and live with you, now you can start saving some money and put the money you save and put it into assets. So if you want to do houses, whatever, you'll have some extra money to put down payments on those homes that you can go rent out to other people. So now, as you're growing that portfolio, your rental properties are now paying for your lifestyle. So instead of put all that money into one home, put it into other situations where you can do the investment. So like I said, I believe in rent where you live and own what you can rent.
Yeah, and I agree that home ownership, and this is a shout out to everybody who mentioned that. That's one of the fastest way to generate generational wealth in regards to how we talk about these conversations. If we want to be realistic, home ownership is a big thing. But I did, go a little bit deeper in regards to this conversation, because I've seen a lot of Black women complaining about owning a home and how they wish they wouldn't have bought it. I know you guys seen the rhetoric on TikTok, and they're kind of getting shocked at escrow, and and they'll turn around and be like, "Oh, what is this?" And I think it was some of them were just misinformed on what what could happen every year once that review is done. And so they were kind of shocked. And then also, to your point, Professor, with the repairs, that shocked them as well. When you start looking at how much air conditioning costs to repair, let's say, water heater, especially if you're buying a resale home and it's not new construction, you can expect some things to happen, and that video, it was good to learn from. Forgot the young lady's name on YouTube, but it's a Black lady. She does like in-depth insight on that, and she was good to listen to. So anybody, go ahead. I see
one more thing.
Go ahead.
So just so you guys know, in the state of North Carolina, this is another reason why it's good not to own property before you're married. In the state of North Carolina, any property you own prior to marriage, that's not your primary residence, that you own prior to marriage, you get to keep. That you don't have to, no one splits that. But the moment you get married, your partner, your husband or your wife is now 50% owner, whether they're on the mortgage or not. So that's the biggest thing. So if you do buy a property prior to getting married as a woman, and then you marry a man who may be a dusty, he is now entitled to 50% of that. You can't sell it without him signing off. So just keep that in mind for the state of North Carolina. So make sure you check your laws, because that's how it is in North Carolina.
Wow. Jess?
So just on what he just said too, that's fine, but then also that's when you're looking already negative, like when people are talking about divorce before they even get married and all that stuff. So I get that that's something to think about, but that's if you're joining houses together, if you're joining your life together, that shouldn't be a problem really, and unless you plan on getting a divorce in the future. But what I wanted to say before, that's kind of go hand in hand with that financial literacy. You also have to research when you are going into a house, and that's the problem that you just stated. A lot of people do not research.
Yep.
So when you research, you're going to understand. You have to look at the housing market. You have to look at all these other things, property tax. You have to look at everything, even in certain areas. You have to look at that before you even consider going forward. And if it doesn't make any sense, don't go forward and do it, whether you're married or not, or whatever the situation is.
Right. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And one point that I was telling one of my nieces when she was thinking about it, I told her, I was like, if you come to me and you say, I want to buy a home, and I start asking questions and you're like, well, this is all I can afford. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't be buying a home right now. If that's your rhetoric, if you say all I can afford, then you got to think about, the repairs and all this other stuff, the market, things of that nature. You need to have that residual income that can take care of those things just in case, because a lot of people get shocked with that closing cost. You want to buy a rental property or something. And then next thing you know, you're like, well, you need another $10,000, before you buy this house. And like, well, why you didn't know this? You could have went to YouTube University and would have told you that. But yeah. So, I mean, it's just the educational portion is definitely necessary in these spaces, not from like a buy my course type rhetoric. You know how y'all hear it.
Right.
Buy my course. Nah, man, this stuff is free. You can find it.
Stay away from that.
So chill. You got it.
All right. So, man, I feel like he structured this to kind of let me out my cage, and I'm trying to stay in it, y'all. I'm trying to stay in it.
Hey, you got the chat is already against you. So, I mean, whatever you say.
So, y'all already know how I feel about women going out here buying houses, fellas. You already know how I look at that. I usually stand clear from that, and I don't think it's a good idea for women to go out here and buy houses. Now, I'm just going to speak for the women in my community, in the Black community. Usually, what I'm currently seeing is a lot of them are getting roped into these mortgages, and what ends up happening is you're literally it's a wealth killer. It's a wealth killer if you go out here and do it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? What was that? All right, you know what I'm saying? It's a legit wealth killer, when you do it by yourself. And I do agree with Media Man that it is a way to generate generational wealth, but you got to have a family. That's the whole purpose of a home, and you'll be told a lot of our sisters go out here and buy houses just to prove their mama wrong. Be like, I told you I could do it because in my head, I got this job and now I got this house. I got this big, beautiful house, but you got a 50-year mortgage. Now think about your lifetime earnings. You 30 plus, 40 plus, and now you just got roped into a 50-year mortgage. That's not a good investment. And a man that comes your way, when he see you up under all that debt, that probably hinders him from wanting to marry you, because that's, that is a huge glass of debt that a man is now going to be responsible for.
Do you think Black women between the ages of 35 and 44 should have that knowledge at that age?
I do. I think they should have that knowledge at even younger than that, but at that age, they should have that knowledge. They really should, because I hate to say this, but man, you're too old to be out here doing things based on how you feel. You really are. At some point, logic got to be put into play. You don't want to hurt yourself like that. You're not going to want to work till the day you die. So why put you under that type of debt to where now you're forced to?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Something that a lot of people don't think of, right? If you look at New York City, for instance, right? I own a house out there, but I own it outright. But the average house in New York costs $650,000.
Wow.
So you know that your mortgage alone is going to be roughly $5,000. Then the rent prices in New York is roughly around $4,000. So you are already in the hole. Now, also you got to look at the laws in New York City, where the laws are all tenant friendly. So your tenant can literally say, I'm not going to pay my rent for a whole year.
Wow.
And you can't do nothing about it.
What?
You can't kick them out. So you got to wait. It's a tenant friendly state. So if you're trying to own and you're trying to have all of this, all of these properties and all of this stuff, it's like, yo, you're putting yourself in a hole if bad times do happen. It's not worth it. That's why, like, with the guy who said that super chat earlier, sometimes you got to think about the outside of the South, right? Mm-hmm. Where coast to coast, it's not the same.
Yeah, it definitely differs from every region that we're talking about. And I didn't know that about New York, being tenant friendly. I heard some stories about Georgia where people are squatting and all that type of stuff. That was in the news recently or whatever. But New York, I would have thought they would have been on the people side.
Go ahead, Jess. To my dad. Man, that happened to my dad. Like a tenant decided she did not want to move out for like about 9 months. We had to go through the eviction process and everything, and she still didn't even have to. All they said was for her to move out. She didn't even have to pay it all back.
You don't have to pay no back rent.
Nope.
Man, is this something that's going to be on one of these presidential dockets?
It needs to be.
A lot of that happened during the pandemic when they had rent moratorium and they wasn't having people pay because or mortgage moratorium. People weren't paying that either. So a lot of that happened during those times. So yeah, it's difficult.
Damn. Man, so the poll ended. They said 56% said yes, Black women should own a home between 35 to 44 years old. That's shocking. Chill.
Yeah. All right. I got an opinion about that. I know why some fellas don't get mad at me because this might not be the guys in the room, but it's usually a reason why some guys want women to already have all this stuff. So they ain't got to
what's that reason, Chill?
They ain't got to do it. There's a lot of dudes who don't mind, they like women coming already built and got the house and everything. They be like, I slide up in your house, pay a couple of bills, and there you are. It's that's the fellas out here, man. Let's just keep
So Tristan Smith said 1999 super chat said, I own 2 homes, one of which I rent out. I'll move my wife in, but her name will not, in all capital letters, go on the deed, and the house will be in my name in the prenup agreement. I'll continue to pay for it like I did before she moved in. Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, easier way around that is just to put the house in a trust. Mm-hmm. And because you technically don't own the house, the trust owns the house. So form an LLC, put the LLC as the beneficiary of the trust, and she can't touch it.
You know where I learned that and why I did that for my house in Maryland for my daughter? I learned that on YouTube University. So
yeah.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So what would be the downfall of him putting her name on the deed?
What?
Or getting everything if she leaves. A lot. You see what Jess said earlier, right? Where you don't get married with the plan. Well, yeah, because basically it's like what Jess said earlier, where you don't plan to get married to leave. But then if you think of marriage as a business, you have to think smart. 80% of Black marriages are filed by Black women. 50% of the times you probably stand a 50-50 chance of getting a divorce in the United States. So if you think about it like a business, that's why.
Anybody? Good point. All right, let's get to CN 199 super chat. She can rent the house or B&B, maybe. Okay, that's a new thing that Airbnb. Marriage, politics, and sports. $5 super chat said a man, even if married, would be a fool to move into a woman's home. I would insist on either we sell or I buy out half to get my name on the title. I don't think she would be I don't think she'd be okay with that. Let me see. Dante Bryan $5 super chat says she doesn't sound like men. She doesn't sound like men, doesn't she? Because you can't ask a Black woman for a prenup because they'll want to fight. Well, fight. If that's what you want.
That's a quick way to know.
Go ahead. Before I read this, Chill, you guys on that?
I was going to say that'd be the quickest way for you to know whether you should deal with her or not. If she fight against one of the rules that you set in, a requirement that you must have, let her go, brother. She ain't the one for you. Don't do it.
Yep.
But what if he love her, Chill?
Man, love is a fleeting feeling. It'll be over soon. Just go get your love.
It'll be over soon.
Steven Jackson's the poster child. She wouldn't sign a prenup on wedding day, and he was out.
Yep. I shared that story a while. What was that, like 2 or 3 years ago? When you came up with that? Yeah, I remember that. So anybody else, ladies, do y'all want to add anything to that? Nope. Cool. All right. D320 KG with the 499 super chat said, I would love to buy a home, but as a government employee constantly moving for promotions, is it worth it? Currently renting right now. Yeah, man, do what's best for you, man. You know what I'm saying? And why are you GS? Why are you moving? What's going on? Hit me up. I'm GS. So, Tristan Smith with 1999 super chat said, buy a home warranty. It's $90 a month and will cover plumbing, electrical issues, appliance breakdown. Stop buying, you get it. Homes, inspection, home warranty saved me a lot, but it also helped that I bought new construction. Yeah, and I covered that. I'm a huge supporter of new construction homes because everything is pretty much new, and I also have all my warranties just in case anything breaks down. In Houston, air conditioning is huge. So if our air conditioning breaks down, we're gonna be cooked. So literally. So go ahead, Jess.
And I kind of feel that's the thing. Some of the things that people don't look into when they're buying a house, like the water heater, all of that, like how long it's been there, and because when that break down, that's it. You have a whole lot of costs on your hand.
You right. It'll add up, man. You be in Home Depot more times than you want to. Tiberius, what's going on? $5 super chat said, "Is that's one of y'all guys?"
I don't know, but
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
The name.
If you are working, thank you. If you are working 2 jobs to get a mortgage, you're setting yourself up to be stuck and to fail. All right. And then he has another one, $5 super chat. He says, Tom Brady kept all his properties by putting things in his mother's name. Pookie vibes, but it worked. Oh, yeah. I heard that story. Yeah, his wife tried to take half, and he don't own anything because it's in his mom's name. So,
that's crazy.
That was wild. Dante Bryant, $2 super chat said, I meant she does sound like a man, doesn't she? Oh, okay. Connor White Wolf with the 199 super chat. Make sure it's I'm gonna mess this up. Irrevocable. Who's more educated?
Irrevocable.
Jess, get that one, Jess.
It's irrevocable.
Somebody got it.
It's an irrevocable trust.
Irrevocable trust. There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, brother. All right, that was good. So yeah, I lean on y'all to sound certain words out. So.